Good evening and welcome to Caffe Lena. Thanks for watching this live stream production from Saratoga Springs, New York. These live streams are made possible by the generous support of the Sarah B. Folk Charitable Fund and by our community of subscribers. Special thanks to our Virtuoso level subscribers and lifetime Caffe Lena members. By buying a ticket for this performance, you're supporting independent music and the mission of our historic nonprofit venue. Enjoy your front row seats for this show, live from Caffe Lena.
Okay, welcome everybody to Caffe Lena. Thanks for coming out for Art of Community. This is our monthly conversation series where we spotlight the impact sector here in Saratoga, and this is a program that is facilitated by the Chamber of Commerce, and we are very grateful to them for taking an interest in the impact sector that makes this town much richer in many ways. And just to let you know, while we are in front of the cameras right now, there's a very special campaign going on to channel business to this wonderful downtown and support its cultural institutions, and it's called Love Our Locals. And if you spend $20.22 at a local business, or you make a donation to a nonprofit in the amount of $20.22, then you can email your receipt to the Chamber of Commerce. And what is the email address? loveourlocals@saratoga.org. And you may win any of $8,000 worth of gift certificates that local businesses have donated to support this. So just email your receipt to the Chamber, loveourlocals@saratoga.org. And you could be a double winner, saving the downtown, supporting local nonprofits, and getting free stuff. So I'm sitting here today with Cindy Schmale, who is the executive director of To Love a Child, which is a great song, To Love a Child. And I'm really excited to talk to you. And you actually just got a pretty significant recognition from the Chamber of Commerce, didn't you, within the last year?
Yes, earlier this year. Thank you.
And tell me a little bit about what that award was and what it recognized.
It was, of course, it was given out by the Saratoga Chamber, and it was recognizing me as a nonprofit leader. So I was surprised. I was recognized by, I still don't know who submitted my name, but it was at the annual dinner for the Chamber, and I was just humbled by that, to be brought up in front of all the business leaders of the community and other nonprofit leaders. So it was a wonderful recognition.
And well-deserved, because you have made a real commitment to the impact sector in this area and well beyond the borders of this area. And it's obvious that making a positive impact in your community is something that's really central to how you've organized your whole life. And I would just love to hear a little bit about the story of how you got on that path. When did that happen? I mean, was it part of your family life growing up, or just when did you decide to make this kind of commitment?
Well, it is a very interesting story. Back when I was a child, I used to sit every Sunday night in front of the TV to watch Wild Kingdom with my father. And he always told me that when he won the lottery, he and I were going to go to Africa and take pictures of the animals. Unfortunately, my father never made that trip. But when I got married, my husband had an opportunity to go to Africa and be in a bike race. So I decided I was going to go along with him, my once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I thought. So he did the bike race, and we decided to see one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, which was Victoria Falls.
Oh, yeah.
We went there, and we walked around the town of Victoria Falls, and in one day, I met the same man 3 times. And on the 3rd time that I met him, I said, I think we're meant to talk. So we talked, and he invited me to see what life was really like behind the tourism, behind all the scenes of, the opulence of, the safaris and all that. So he picked my husband and I up the next morning in a jalopy of a vehicle. My husband and I took a leap of faith. My husband kept elbowing me in the vehicle and said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I really think we need to do this." So he took us out to this village called Chikandakubi. And what I saw there, I absolutely lost my heart to. And I saw women laying on grass mats out in the sun, dying of malaria. I saw some school buildings without roofs. I saw children, 15 children sharing one school book. I saw such poverty that I had never witnessed before in my life. And so coming back on the plane, I told my husband, I said, I can't forget this, and I need to do something about it. And that's what really changed my life. And that gentleman that I met 3 times in that one day has been our project manager ever since.
Oh, no kidding.
And that was 19 years ago. And we still work together today.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That really is remarkable. So what was the commitment that you made when you came back? How did that start to play out? How did it lead to love a child?
Well, first I tried to, do work through other organizations, but I found that the amount of poverty and need was so critical at certain times that you needed to have a lot of flexibility to just move in and do things quickly. And larger organizations that were already established didn't have that flexibility. Mm-hmm. So I knew that I had to develop my own organization, and so that's what I did. That's how To Love a Child was established. So we have been able to work in Zimbabwe, then we started working in Haiti, and we've also developed some projects here in the States locally.
Okay, so that is amazing, and I also know that you are skipping over an incredible amount of learning, probably making mistakes, failing, figuring it out, learning from your mistakes, making things better. One of the things that we've talked about in this series is that a lot of people come in with a very passionate mission about their work or something that they really care about, but maybe not as much training in how to run an organization, how to manage a big project, how to manage people, how to, set mission goals and figure out your budgets and do fundraising and all that kind of stuff. And it's something that we learn on an as-needed basis in many cases. Can you talk a little bit about that process? Like, what was To Love a Child when you first started it, and how did you know how to create it? And how has it changed?
Well, there are so many resources out there, and I'm going to use the Chamber as an example, because when you're a member of the Saratoga Chamber, you're also a member of the New York State Council of Nonprofits, which is just an excellent resource of so many things that you need to start a nonprofit. And then as you go on, there are also, workshops and other things that you can take advantage of. The Attorney General's office has also great resources. But then, I was also a member of Kiwanis. I was also a member of Rotary. I was also a member of Seroptimus. And being a member of other established nonprofits, you learn from them, not only being a member, but being on their board of directors. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication to other organizations, but you do learn from them.
That's really neat. Thank you for mentioning those very specific resources. Those resources are available to everybody, and I think that it is something that a lot of nonprofits overlook. It's true, people go to blogs or they go to others that are in their exact sector, things like that. But I think that there is a lot of similarity between organizations in the nonprofit world, and solutions that can work in one place can be applied in other places. That's really neat. So you have also, though, worked in a number of other nonprofits, if I'm not mistaken. Just looking at your resume, I saw that you have been associated with a number of different ones, and not the executive director at all of these places, but you are the executive director at To Love a Child. Can you talk a little bit about what's the difference when you're the executive director? How is that job different from other jobs?
Well, certainly it gives you a little more, you can direct the organization better. I was director of development for a different organization during my learning process with To Love a Child. So I learned the fundraising aspect with the other organization. But when you're the executive director, it is your, I established this organization, so it is my passion, it is my brainchild. And I work directly with the village elders in Zimbabwe. So, working closely with them, it is their needs that we're establishing. It's their projects that we're working and we're creating. So it gives, being the director, we're creating their world. We're building their village. We're creating their opportunities. We're giving them the hope. And being the director, you're able to really just emphasize all of that.
So one thing you just said made me think of another question that I had going into this conversation. When you're going into somebody else's community, especially one where, like you said, you have never seen people who are surviving on the edge like that before, and there's probably a lot that they've figured out about how to survive that you might not even know how to do yourself. And they may have certain ideas about what they need, and it may be different than what you expected going in. What kind of learning curve was there along those lines, as far as you maybe came in with an idea of how to solve all the problems, and maybe some of them worked and some of them didn't work, or you learned new needs through talking to them?
Yeah, you have to immerse yourself in their culture, which is why it's important to travel there and be with them and work with them hand in hand. You can't expect to go to Haiti or Zimbabwe and just stand back and just kind of observe. You have to work hand in hand with them. If something is being built, you need to work with them and build with them. You need to be in the clinics with them. You need to be in the classroom with them. You need to live with them. We don't put on airs. We've taken about 150 volunteers with us. And when people get ready to travel with them, I tell them, leave your jewelry at home, leave your makeup at home, leave, all your good clothes at home. We are living with these people. You're going to be learning. Your life is going to change in more ways than you can possibly imagine. Because we're there to learn, we're there to listen. And that is the way that you really begin to understand what their needs are. They're going to tell you to, but it's important to really understand. And we will never do a project unless they embrace it, because it won't be successful.
So now I'd like to know a little bit more about what To Love a Child looks like now. How is it structured? How big is it? Where are you working? What are you doing?
We're a small organization. We work out of, our office is out of my home in Boston Lake. We have a 5-person board of directors right now. We do have room for one more person on our board. We have a host of volunteers that help in many different capacities, from administrative to events and in different committees. We have 2 project managers that are in Zimbabwe. We have one, more or less, a project manager in a village in Haiti. We have absolutely no paid staff. I do not collect an income at all. So our administrative fees are extremely low for a nonprofit, because that is, I believe so passionately in what we do. And unfortunately, come with that passion, I tend to get very emotional when I speak about what we do. So you'll have to forgive me for that. We do tremendous things, and our success is measured by the gratitude that is showed by the people that we serve. And it continues to show every time we go to Zimbabwe and Haiti through our photographs.
So, we talked a little bit before we turned on the mics, and you told me about some pretty remarkable things that you've been working on in Zimbabwe in particular. You want to talk about that some?
Oh, absolutely. When we go to Zimbabwe, we pack our luggage, 50 pounds, everybody takes 2 bags, and we most of the time pack more than 2 bags a person. We take medical supplies. We always take books. We take everything that we possibly can, plus we buy supplies in country. And over the years, we've been supplying a library there. And we've noticed over the years that the children, the students in the school, their English has gotten much better. But we didn't realize until this last trip that the teachers told us that the children in Chikandakubi have one of the highest literacy rates in not only the district, but outside the district. And they're being recognized by the Ministry of Education. And that is just so substantial in a country like Zimbabwe. And because of that, the Ministry of Education is being able to give them many more learning materials, and they're being able to get better quality teachers. And just before COVID, we were able to hook up electricity to the school, and now we can provide better computers. And we were just able to hook up Wi-Fi for the school, which now gives these children a whole new world of opportunity to learn, which is just incredible.
Do you think that, how do you think that will change things for that community going forward?
Oh, it's going to be miraculous. This community is now going to be able to create children that are, going to actually be able to be employed, to be able to be, secretaries, doctors, nurses, teachers, things that these children never had an opportunity to do before. We're going to be able to keep teachers for the first time. We also built the first rural bakery that has ever been done, we think, in all of Zimbabwe, a rural bakery. And when we were there, women baked 50 loaves of bread for the very first time. I mean, can you imagine a woman 50 years old baking bread for the first time in a bakery that was actually made out of cinder blocks? Usually, they cook on an open fire and just basically have, maybe some vegetables, maybe some rice and some sadza, and that's it. But they're going to be able to earn an income from that.
So they're selling bread.
Yeah, 50 cents a loaf. And the eggs that they get to put in that bread comes from the chicken project that we started earlier in the year. It's just tremendous. The men's workshop that we built, the men are earning an income creating coffins. And I know that's not that's kind of a sad industry to be in, but it's a needed industry.
Good project.
But everything that we're doing there is now, you're measuring the success, and they're being recognized as an outstanding village of excellence.
Gee whiz, Cindy. Well
it's
done.
Really important. And we're creating food forests. And we're not just putting in gardens anymore. It's not just putting in corn and tomatoes. We are growing food forests for the future. It's the gardens, it's the trees that are producing fruit, because Zimbabwe is having some of the worst climate change, in Africa. And so we're providing for the future now. It's really important.
Okay, let me ask how the challenges are different between Zimbabwe and Haiti.
Oh, well, certainly the challenges are significant in both countries. But in Haiti, over the last year or so, Haiti has been taken over by the gangs. About 6 months ago, they estimated that the gangs in Haiti had about 50% control over the country, and now they estimate that is even worse. Unfortunately, we have not been to Haiti in about 3 years. We don't foresee going back anytime in the near future. We used to be able to ship barrels of supplies. We can no longer even do that, because if we ship barrels, we jeopardize the safety of anyone that tries to get those barrels and transport it to the village that we serve. We know that some of the food supply depots have been raided, so they're not even safe anymore. We used to support an orphanage. Unfortunately, orphanage could no longer was no longer safe enough for the orphans, so they had to take the orphans to other places. We know that the orphans, we hope that they're in a better place and that they're safe. We have no idea about that anymore. Our village that we serve is near the Dominican border. School is in session. We do pay the teachers' salaries so that the children can still be educated. That is the only thing that we can do at the moment. They are.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you you mentioned that idea because, like you said, it is simply not possible to get tangible supplies into the country at this point.
Not at all.
Yeah.
We do read the news. We try to keep up with it. We know the Dominican Republic, unfortunately, is not being very friendly right now to the Haitians. Food supplies are very, very scarce. It is heartbreaking that I get messages through WhatsApp from a lot of folks in Haiti. Everyone is begging for money. Everyone is begging for help to get out of the country. They can't get out of the country. They can't get any appointments with the government to get a visa. The government is pretty much non-operational. The police forces are, their hands are tied. They can't do anything. I don't know what the solution is at this point.
Yeah.
Cholera is a major situation right now. I've had several people say that they're afraid to drink water for fear that the next sip that they take, they will die.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming up. It's a time when people should be celebrating. Folks in Haiti will just be grateful just to have food on their plate.
Mm-hmm. And it's so close to the United States.
It is.
It's just a stone's throw away.
Mm-hmm.
And such a different reality. That's really tough. Well, you saw something when you first went to Zimbabwe that was overwhelming, and you saw people living in a tough situation. You now have friends in Haiti and colleagues in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
I met Kimberly, who
Yes.
you helped through college in the
Yes.
United States. Is she still here, or is she in Haiti?
Yes, she is. She's here with her daughter. She has been trying to get her husband here, but he cannot get an appointment to get his visa. So she has not seen her husband in over 3 years.
So all of this is real people to you.
Exactly.
It's real people, it's your friends, it's your colleagues, and these challenges are monumental. And so one thing that I would love to hear about is how you stay in the game. There must be days when you just, want to throw up your hands and say, I just don't know what the next step is. But how do you keep going?
There are days where it's extremely difficult. And even right now in the States, it's very hard to get volunteers to help out. But you have to surround yourself with positive people, and you have to just keep those positive people close at hand, because there are times when you need to reach out to them and just say, hey, I need a friend right now, and there's times when you have to just close up shop for the day, maybe a little bit early, get a good night's rest, and then say, okay, when I wake up the next morning, you're just going to have a fresh start. And you might look at the photos of the people that you're trying to help and say, okay, this is a new day, a new start, and I'm doing it for them. And you just kind of gather all the energy that you can and just move forward. And you just, I don't know, you just have to try to gather that energy from somewhere.
Yeah, I wish that we could take what you have, this idea that I'm the one to do something about it, and just kind of hypodermic that into everybody else. Well, so is there something that you wish that the world understood about these communities that you work with that you think maybe they just don't get?
There are so many communities around the world, and not just outside of the United States, but within the United States. And I think that if everyone could just take just a few minutes out of their busy lives just to help somewhere, just a tiny little bit out of their lives, that the world would be a better place. You know, we're all busy, all of us. But if we could just dedicate just a few minutes every week somewhere, I think we could all make a big difference somewhere.
How much time do you devote a week to this? Just curious.
Well, a lot. You know, it's probably, 40, 50 hours a week.
Yeah, yeah. So you treat it like a full-time job.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Is there any other story from the last year or the last year or two that you'd like to share? Maybe a one-on-one conversation that you had with somebody or anything like that, or some particular person that you've worked with that you've seen changed?
Well, I can share a story from my recent trip to Zimbabwe. And when we arrive in Zimbabwe, we usually meet with the village leaders, the village heads, the very first thing, just to check to see how things are going. And all of the village leaders just had one request this time, and that was that they wanted to tell us stories about what it was like in the last year in the village. And they told us stories about how women were giving birth in the back of wooden donkey carts because they couldn't make it to the hospital, which was 25 miles away. And they told us stories about how the elderly couldn't make it to the hospital because it was 25 miles away, but they didn't even try because, they might have felt chest pain in the middle of the night, and they didn't dare walk, even attempt to walk, because they were afraid of going through the bush because they would be attacked by elephants or lions. Ooh. And it's something that we can't even comprehend here, And so their only wish for To Love a Child was to help them build a medical clinic. And they said that if we build it, the government will actually provide the full-time nurses to live at the clinic and give them the care that they needed. And so we promised them on the spot that we would help them. And so that's kind of our goal for the future. And but the stories that they told us were something that we couldn't even comprehend because, we get in our cars and we can drive to a pharmacy, probably 5 minutes from our homes. We have vehicles, we have transportation, we have bus service. We can open up a cupboard in our home and probably find ibuprofen or Tylenol. They don't have anything like that at all. So that made such a huge difference to not only myself, but our entire team that was there. Mm-hmm. We do a free medical clinic when we're there, and it's just a first aid clinic because none of us are doctors or nurses. But we provide, ibuprofen, all kinds of over-the-counter medicines. We collect eyeglasses, and we distributed like hundreds of pairs of eyeglasses when we were there. And just to see the joy in a man's face when we handed him a razor blade, a disposable razor blade. He hadn't had one in 3 years. He was shaving with a piece of glass. It was just amazing.
I wondered how you did that without a razor blade. Piece of glass, huh? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just, if you don't have an answer to this one, that's completely fine, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Is there, as you go through your work, you are very much saying, like, I am an individual citizen. I am going to help individual citizens in another part of the world. But is there anything that you look at in terms of, say, American foreign policy that you wish could be different, or aid could be handled differently, or anything like that? Do you have any observations about that level?
Oh, that's a tough question. I wish that it would be a little bit easier for us to take our supplies.
Okay.
We have to pay full freight for everything. When we travel, it's very expensive for us to take the supplies, and we do buy supplies in country to help out local business there as well. But it's very expensive to travel.
And if there could be like a charitable exemption or something like
that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That seems lobbyable. So now, understanding that you are not actually being paid for this work, but you've nonetheless made a complete, total, devoted career out of it. For people who are maybe just getting out of college or maybe kind of dissatisfied with their career in the business world or something, do you have any kind of advice about getting into nonprofit work for people? Anything that they should consider, whether it might be a fit for them or not, and how they might explore that?
It truly is just so rewarding to be able to help people in whatever area you decide to go in. I do think that you need to explore ways that you can get paid, for sure. But I would definitely, explore every opportunity that you can, especially areas of that can help the planet right now with global warming, in anything environmental, human services. There's just going to be such a need in the future.
Because you're seeing that.
Oh,
you're seeing that
absolutely.
In your communities, yeah.
Absolutely. Any teenager that can possibly travel during their high school years to be able to educate themselves and see things firsthand, take every opportunity that you can, so that when it comes to making a decision for college and your where you want your degree to go to, do it when you can. Travel if you can. Travel with your parents. If you can. Take advantage of joining any clubs or anything. Do it when you can, when you're young. I wish I had started this many, many more years earlier than I did.
Well, thanks for starting it when you did. And thanks for sharing your work with us today and some of your insights about all of this. It's been really interesting. I'm just completely amazed by what you've accomplished, and I'm so proud that you're in this community doing this work. So thank you, Cindy.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. And thanks to the Chamber and to Bonaccio Construction. And wow, a whole lot of people showed up. That's really cool. And so we're going to turn off the mics and take a little break and enjoy some coffee and cookies. And everybody, this happens on the final Friday or the fourth Friday, on a Friday toward the end of the month, every month here at Caffe Lena. And if you have a suggestion for an organization that you think would be a great feature for this series, we have openings starting after March. And so we'd love to talk about that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And happy Giving Tuesday.
Thank you.
All right.